Hello there and welcome. Today I'm going to tie this. This is the Thunder and Lightning. Although this is a variant over the Thunder and Lightning, I must say the Thunder and Lightning is one of my all-time favorite flies. It simply is an awe-inspiring pattern in composition and in color scheme and stuff like that. This really is a great fly, and also it's a fly that fishes very well. I've been using this in Norway for a long time, but my success rate in Norway is regretfully very low. So far, and also in Denmark, I've fished with it. I've only caught sea trout on it, but it's one of the flies that I most definitely would like to catch a salmon in the entire world. Really one of the truly coolest patterns out there. So I just took this tube and I heated it up so it was shrinking a bit back, which will make a good anchor for some silicone tube or whatever you want to have for a hook guide. Then I attach my tying thread. This is a fly we're going to use a fairly decent amount of materials to make, but you know sometimes you just gotta allow yourself to play around. First of all, I'm gonna make a small dubbing butt, or is it butt or is it? I can't even recall what the other thing is. I'm gonna call it a small butt here in fluorescent yellow. I'm gonna use some seal's fur for this. The thread I'm using is as always the Vivus, well almost always the Vivus 50 Dinya, which is a GSP thread, and it's very strong and durable and great for salmon and sea trout flies also, because you can fasten your materials with an absolute minimum of turns, which enables you to build better looking flies easily. So then I'm gonna make a tail here from fluoro fiber. I take a bundle and then I double it, so I can so I do not waste any materials. Then I cut this off like so, and then I'm gonna taper it. And I'm doing this by cutting kind of like this. So I'm cutting in an angle in order to make this tail taper like that. Then I'm changing my hands here. Pull out a few of these strands so they're a bit longer, and then I'm gonna tie this down. So I'm gonna try to stay as true to the idea of this Thunder and Lightning in terms of color scheme and stuff like that, but I'm gonna spice it up a bit and change it into what I would call a more modern, a more usable fly, because the original pattern has a bronze mallard wing, which is, to say the least, very difficult to tie, and after a few casts it looks rather mangled anyway. So now I'm going to tie in some rib. I'm going to use some gold here, as on the original pattern. I'm tying this on one side here, so it's facing me, and that makes everything easier when it comes to actually designing the rest of the fly. And then we need a body hackle. And for this we want an orange or a grizzly orange hackle that is not too long. I'm going to use these Metz hackles here. I just need to find the correct one. I thought I had that, but that somehow has eluded me. And when selecting these feathers, it's important that you find a feather that is fairly long without having too long fibers. Let's see, this one will do. And what I do is I take this feather, and there is a top side and a lower side, and I take the top side so it's facing me, and then I strip off the entire side there. I'm gonna strip off some of this woolly stuff as well. But I'm going to strip this entire side here all the way up to the tip. So you get a feather that looks like this. And you can see the bend of the feather here, the natural bend of the feather. And I want that natural bend to be upwards when I tie this down in the tip, as you can see. And I place this just below the rib. So when I'm gonna turn this in a second, then it will be placed correctly. So after I've tied all this down, just gonna cut all of this off, like so, because I do not want my body here to be too voluminous, like so. And then I basically just move up the tube as far as I think the fly will be, something like that. And then I'm gonna tie some tying thread down here, so I have something for my dubbing to latch onto, like that. Then I'm gonna take some Flashaboo dubbing in black. You can use you can use whatever dubbing you like, but I really like this Flashaboo dubbing because it's very soft and still is you're able to pull it out quite easily, and it's an artificial material, so it's easy to work with and stuff like that. So then I'm gonna shape my body here, and the trick with this body is to taper it so it becomes gradually thicker as you go up the tube here, in order to make this fly have the correct tapering that it should have in order for this to have the right proportions. So basically I'm gonna apply a bit more dubbing as we get further and further up, so you can see it tapers. It starts out thinnish, not not finish. It starts out thin and then gradually becomes thicker and thicker towards this end here. And don't be afraid of turning back if you don't think you have the right proportions and stuff like that, and tying on top of something you have already done. That's perfectly fine. Like that. And then I'm going to hold this back, and then I'm going to turn my gold rib. And I want about 4, that was not correct, like that. And in order to get the distance between these turns of rib correctly, it's something that you will definitely learn over time, and that the spacing is correct and stuff like that. But it's also, it's a detail that's important to remember and to try to strive for having correctly, because it really stands out if your rib is it's something that is easy to spot if your rib is not correctly placed. Then I turn the hackle behind the rib in order for the rib to actually support and protect my hackle, and there we go. Oh, it was just enough hackle here. Just barely enough hackle. Also, I started up on this side, point facing me, so I have to end at the exact same spot. That way I will have 4 turns of rib all the way around the fly here. I can see the rib looks like it's in reverse on you, but that's, well, basically because of the camera and stuff like that. I see the spacing is not correct on your side. Not completely. Oh well. It is on my side. I guarantee you. Cross my heart. Like this. So, then I'm gonna take my dubbing needle, if I can find it. Locate it. Where did I put that? Oh, here it was. And then I'm gonna brush out some of the dubbing and the hackle here, and I'm gonna try to force the hackle and some of the dubbing to be to make room for my wings and stuff like that, so that I kind of have a plateau just on top of the fly here. So I have a plateau up here to have my wings, to give my wings the best chance of looking good and being placed correctly. Then, because I do not want to mess around with the bronze mallard, I tie this with two different wings. First of all, I'm going to take some Arctic fox, or you can use marble fox as well. Both are good options, in burnt orange. And this bundle, you do not want this to be too big. And I take out all the woolly part of this wing, but I also remove the longest of the coarser hairs, like so. And then I tie this down so it's slightly shorter than the tail. And I only, as you can see, I only use 2 or 3 turns of the tying thread to fasten this, simply because I can apply a lot of pressure, but also simply because I can apply a lot of pressure, like so. That's the first part. Then I'm going to take some black marble fox for the second part of the wing. About that should do it. Marble fox is an awesome material because it's, first of all, it's longer than Arctic fox, and it's also a bit more soft and a bit nicer to work with. So I'm a big fan of marble fox. Again, trimming all the bad fluffy woolly stuff. Make my marble fox wing on top of the burnt orange one, like so. And this should be longer than the tail, like that. And be careful not to use too much materials here. That will make your fly look too bulky and also a bit difficult to get underneath the surface. And you do not want that, like so. This is a great fly for fishing sea trout in night as well. Oh, I just cut off everything I didn't need. And then I'm gonna spice things up a bit, because now I'm gonna take a golden pheasant skin here, and I'm gonna use some of the red feathers. Some of these red feathers that normally are not used for anything. But these makes wonderful hackles for a fly like this. It has the right hue and the right tone as well to give kind of like the same effect as the bronze mallard does on the original pattern. And the hackle stem here is nice and thin, and these hackles are just in general very cool. And not used nearly as often as I think they warrant, because they are just awesome. They are just awesome for salmon and sea trout flies, and give that kind of spay effect without being as expensive as real heron. Of course, they don't have the same color as real heron either. They have a cooler color, these ones. So I'm gonna turn this as the first of 2 hackles. The other hackle is gonna be guinea fowl in kingfisher. Making sure that I fold all the materials back whilst I turn this. Like so. And as you can see, it kind of has a spay feather feel and look to it now. And the color of this red golden pheasant really fits very well with the rest of the scheme of the fly here. Okay, then in order to give it spice it a bit more up, I'm gonna take a flat wing feather. The flat wings are best for this. I sell these in loose packages, so you can buy. You don't have to buy a full saddle, because a full saddle here tends to be rather expensive. But I carry these in all the colors that it would be great for salmon and sea trout flies. So I have orange and yellow and green and stuff like that, and of course ordinary grizzly and stuff like that. But I want one of these to be a part of the wing, so it's gonna be on the sides, kind of like jungle cock, but that is gonna add a cool effect to the fly here. So I'm just measuring out how long this should be. Should be about this size here. Then I'm gonna tie this down. Yeah, I cannot pick up my phone. I'm tying flies. You gotta wait in line. This is more important. Like so. And then I'm gonna take another feather to tie on your side. And I want one that has the correct curve. This looks nice. So about there, I would say. I have to tie this down while I have the vise in, like this. Let's see how that works out. That worked out almost perfectly. Like that. Great. That looks awesome. Like that. Then I'm gonna take the blue Guinea fowl. And here you want to select a feather that has as thin a stem as possible, and have a lot of fibers on there as well. And you want to make sure that you get a good quality, because, well, you can get a lot of these that are not very good, and that's just very annoying to work with. So I'm gonna tie this here, fold everything back like so. Did my Hackles switch position on me? I don't know. Did it? Maybe a little. Like that. And then I'm gonna turn my Guinea fowl. This is also something that is the finishing touch on the original Thunder and Lightning, and it gives the fly, I would say, credibility. It really is the finishing touch that makes this fly look so unique and so cool as this Guinea fowl. Guinea fowl is something I regretfully I must say, I'm not using enough, I think, because it really makes flies stand out and look absolutely amazing, like that. Yeah, that's how it is. That's how it's done. And to finish off, the final touch. Oh, I need some flash as well. I'm gonna use a few strands of gold wing and flash for this fly as well, just to give it a bit of twinkle and a bit of sparkling in the wing. Not that much, but only a small amount of maybe 8 or 10 strands, something like that. Maybe even just 6. Just a bit of golden sparkle in the wing here to make it twinkle out in the river, like so. Then I'm gonna add the final touch, which is a couple of pro jungle cocks, 1 to each side. This is the best thing you can get, the pro ones. That is not the real deal. I've tried a lot of different substitutes, and pro is by far the best I ever tried. It's very durable. It looks very much like as close to the real thing as I have ever seen, and it's not plastic, so you can if you mangle it a bit here, you can actually get it to follow the exact shape of the wing. You can shape it and stuff like that, and really makes this looks good on. This really looks good on your flies, like so. One on one side. And then the same with the other one here. It's very durable. I saw a fly that had been sunk into an aquarium with current in it, so the fly was alive and kicking, and it had been there for several months. And this salmon fly, the only thing that still had its color and looked exactly like the day it was tied in was the jungle cock. All the colors had left, all the other materials simply been washed away. But this jungle cock, it stayed the same. So very good quality. Like that. Then I'm gonna make the whip finish. Cut this off. Cut the stumps of the jungle cock off. Apply some super glue and then a cone head. A cone head for balance, because it has some weight in it, so it will counterbalance the weight of the hook, but also it will give the perfect finishing touch, and it will make your fly look. It will simply make your fly look better because you do not have to bother with making a completely perfect small little head of tying thread. So it has 2 functions. It makes your fly looks better, which is of course nice, but it really has an effect on how your fly will swim in the current as well, and that's, to me, that's the most important thing. That it will actually help stabilize your fly and your fly fish better.